Welcome back to the Broad Street Benchwarmers podcast. My name is Adam Den, 8th Leviditis, and Michael Cormlos here with me as always. And we are coming to you today, coming off maybe the biggest NFL development since the Super Bowl. Dak Prescott, now the longest tenured quarterback in the NFC East. With a huge mega extension, the largest bonus in NFL history. What thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, it's a 4-year deal, so I guess they didn't have to give him like a Mahomes deal and just say that you're going to be here forever, even though he probably will get an extension at some point. But I will appreciate the cap hell they put themselves in as an Eagles fan because I've never brought it up in a video, but I sometimes forget that they're paying Amari Cooper $25 million a year to be, a fringe top 10 receiver. And they have to pay Zeke whatever, and then all of the rookie deals for the linebackers come up. And all of their offensive linemen are getting old, and the ones they've drafted so far have been mediocre. And they don't have a defense, and if they don't address that in the draft, they're gonna suck. But Dak Prescott, before going to injury, he looked like he was probably one of the best quarterbacks in football, and he probably will come back into that.
He probably was the best quarterback. He was on pace to throw for 600 yards. 6,000 yards.
Yeah.
He literally had more receiving touchdowns.
I mean, that schedule was not exactly, incredibly challenging. However, I think
no NFC schedule was incredibly challenging. So I think if he didn't get injured all year, they probably would have won the division at like a solid 9-7. I don't know. If they won the division comfortably, I think he probably would have won MVP the way he was playing. That's just my thought.
Yeah, he's basically a lock for comeback player of the year next year. So
yeah, people are like, it has to be Saquon. Like, I don't know. If you didn't watch that Giants Cowboys game, you don't know how much pain that man was in.
Yeah.
And I mean the position difference, but for me, I think last year, people just really realized the impact that Dak Prescott makes. And, seeing that Cowboys offense, and even me myself, I have always been one to say that Dak Prescott was somewhat a product of the, environment that he had, always a top 5 offensive line in football. Weapons like Amari Cooper and Ezekiel Elliott, although I agree that they are overpaid. I don't know that Zeke's going to be the same next season. He definitely showed some explosiveness at the end, but I'm not sure. Amari seems to disappear. I'm hoping. I mean, I'm not hoping, but as a person, Amari, seems to still disappear in every single big game. But having CD Lamb and Michael Gallup, who I think at this point in their career are equal talents and have the potential to be just as good as he is now, if not already, I think they're still stacked for the future. And with where they're drafting right now, should he fall down, I think, Kyle Pitts is...
Yeah, it's a very Jerry Jones pick.
It's a Jerry Jones pick, but it's not a good pick.
Yeah, I say either corner. If Slater's on the board, it goes Slater. But
it's got to be either Surtain, Fairley, or offensive line.
I think Farley is the best pick, the best possible fit.
Yeah, he might be.
I think he's on the board.
Yeah, I don't know.
If you go and read my mock draft that I posted, I think that Fairley goes off the board at 4. So, I think that's the smartest decision for the Falcons to make there because I'm a Matt Ryan believer.
Yo.
There, or if Parsons is there, or what's his name? Pitts. I could definitely see that taking Pitts.
Yeah, that's the one missing. I wouldn't say the one missing piece for Dallas, but you might as well just get a luxury pick and then just address offensive line and secondary in the second round, third round. But
That would be a perfect Jerry strategy.
Yeah.
And I mean, for Dak,
last year I think they had
has to be. Yeah.
Like if you didn't take him, it was sort of like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, I was still praying that somehow he would fall, 6 more spots.
Yeah, it was not possible.
Jefferson fell.
Yeah. And we just let it happen.
we don't talk about that here.
Yeah.
Dak,
Anyways.
I think the explosiveness, I'm not totally sure if it's going to be there. Completely the same. Obviously, the injuries that he sustained, and the running ability being a huge part of his game. I don't know that he is going to be 100% going into the 2021 NFL season, but what I can tell you is that Dak Prescott will be a top 10 quarterback in the 2020 NFL season. And that team now, with him returning and on a 4-year deal, puts themselves right there with Washington, as the best future in this division, and probably the team that we have to be the most scared of.
I think Washington is the best team in the division still.
I don't know, man. I don't think Washington got better. I really don't.
They haven't gotten better yet, but they still have one of the best defenses possibly in the NFL.
They do.
If Chase Young's going to progress, they get a second weapon to go along with Terry McLaurin. I mean, maybe address offensive line a little bit. Logan Thomas blew up at the end of the year. I mean, Antonio Gibson looked to be a premier running back in the NFL. I mean, I don't know. I think they're going to be great next year.
Yeah. The only thing they really need is maybe linebacker and I think receiver first round. Yeah, or Mac Jones first round. That's what I've always been saying. I know George would love that.
But the most important position in football is their biggest weakness.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It depends what kind of Taylor Heineke we see.
Yeah.
You never know.
Did he have his Case Keenum era of his career? Or is he just
or he plays like a decent
or he's God. Yeah.
Or he's literally or he's Jesus. I still think maybe I don't know if they're really sold on Heineke. I think they'll draft maybe round 4 Kellen Mond, Jamie Newman, maybe just for safe measures. I wouldn't waste the first round pick on it. I mean, depending on where Juju wants to go, I think
it's definitely an option.
Juju. I think I don't know. Outside, I think in the draft, if I'm Washington, I'm thinking, all right, if we don't get any of these big receivers, we don't get Will Fuller, we don't get Galladay, we don't get whoever, then we need to address receiver in round 1 because Taylor Heineke can't throw to Gibson and what's his name all season.
If you're Chris Sims, you have Kellen Mond as a top 5 quarterback in the NFL draft. So maybe that's such a stellar pick.
Thinking maybe Kadarius Toney could work, or in free agency. I think Curtis Samuel. And I think Curtis Samuel will be a really good pick too. Not a really good pick, a really good signing. But just need to utilize however much money you have. I don't think I have a ton because they franchise tagged Brandon Scherff, but
or the 10 or whatever.
Since Cam Newton's off the market, they have a little more money to spend. But
should we lean right into that?
I mean, we can.
Yeah,
I thought it was totally unintentional.
But... Yeah, but it was great. Let's do it again. Cam Newton will remain a New England Patriot, as we learned today. Quite a freak out during English class. 1 year, $14 million contract after not a spectacular year. 2,657 yards, 8 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 14 touchdowns on the ground, and 706 yards. But overall, not viewed as a success in the New England Patriot offense. But again, thoughts?
Can I go first for this one?
Yeah, sure.
I think Bill Belichick, I think we all have to trust that if Bill Belichick sees potential with a player, just to go with it, because he is Bill Belichick, one of the greatest.
First round pick, but
unless it's N'Keal Harry. But I think Belichick has a plan. I mean, they didn't really have any weapons on offense. Edelman was out all year. It's the same thing I say with Wentz. I mean, if they gave him some weapons, maybe they would have been a lot better. But we'll never know. But That's why
I'm gonna back that one up.
That's why I think Wentz is due for a breakout season
it definitely is
in Indianapolis. But if we're looking at, I mean, his best receiver was N'Keal Harry. I mean,
Jacoby Myers is that?
Jacoby Myers.
Oh my God, get out of here! But those, none of them are even solid number 2 receivers.
Yeah.
I think Belichick has to be going after either Fuller or what's his name, Juju, or literally any big receiver.
Mm-hmm.
I think they definitely draft Pitts if he's on the board. I think with Cam Newton having some weapons, he'll have a much better season next year. I don't think Belichick would do this without having a plan.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah.
And I think adding Trent Brown definitely helps a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Because I don't know. I guess the offensive line was a really big weakness for them. That's just on the outside.
And I think
possibly
Marcus
losing
Cannon
Thuney. Yeah. I mean, just solidifies that.
It's a good Band-Aid. And I think bringing back Cam Newton is a good Band-Aid because you're not rocking with Jared Stidham. Even if they could totally draft Mac Jones if they feel like it, or if one of the quarterbacks falls. Because, I mean, you might as well just have him for 1 year to prove a deal. It's better than just rolling out just whoever Bill Belichick picks in like the 4th or 5th round because you know how he is. But I mean, there's definitely still a lot of upside, especially if you get him weapons because I mean you can't just eliminate like 12 rushing touchdowns. Like I think that definitely helped the team a lot. They definitely would have lost a lot more games. I mean, he did have a negative pick to touchdown ratio, but
if you talk about total touchdowns, I mean,
you have total touchdowns. I think he's definitely it definitely adds a lot of versatility, and you might as well just keep him around. Because I mean, you can tank for Sam Howell, tank for Spencer Rattler if you want. Because I mean, I don't think they'll be great next year. So you can definitely just surround them with weapons. Like there's definitely, and they have a ton of cap room, so they can get they can they can get offensive linemen. They can
tight end.
God forbid trade for Zach Ertz. They can. There's definitely a handful of receivers.
If they can figure out a solid, what's it called, a running game.
Yeah,
I thought the running game was fine. Damian Harris was fantastic.
I know, but it needs to be consistent because once they find a solid player to have, they then replace him.
The thing for me is
Belichick relies too much on a rotational running back. Where I think they just need to find themselves a true number 1. If that's Damian Harris,
but that's just their
Sony Michel. If that's drafting Javonte Williams in the 2nd round, I don't know what that is, but they need to find it because I just don't like the thought of having rotational running backs.
That's just their offensive system, I feel like. And I mean, Belichick is going to run what Belichick wants to orchestrate. I mean, with the success he's had and the trust that Robert Kraft has in him, he is going to have total control. And I don't know how much I trust that. I really don't.
Yeah.
I really don't think the quarterback position is a position that he completely values, as shown by, his thoughts on, the Tom Brady situation and how he handled it seemingly in the last couple of years. But I do think this is a good signing in that, as you said, giving them that bridge, they have the money to secure something. And the simple fact that, they aren't going to win this year because they probably had one of the least talented rosters in the NFL last season.
I think you also have to take the opt-outs into consideration to half their team. Half their defense was opted out.
I think that was a complete. Yeah, I think that was part of the talent thing. Honestly,
I feel like 7-9 is like. I think 7-9, 8-8, one of the two. But I mean, I still think they overperformed. I mean, I think next year, I'm not surprised next year if they're a 7 or 6 seed with all of those players coming back. And I think, Edelman might be back. He's not due to. He's not.
I doubt it, but
he's not a free agent, so I don't think he's going to retire.
Yeah.
So I assume they'll spend their money though, so they'll definitely improve.
Yeah,
and I think Ethan emphasized it best. If this ends up being bad, then people seem to forget. Next year's quarterback class is absolutely insane.
Yep.
I think you have Howell and Rattler that are probably going to be 1 and 2, but then you have like low budget, like you have like low key players, like you have Keaton Slavis, you have JT Daniels, you have Mini Tua.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be it's a stacked class again.
Mm-hmm.
No,
So,
I mean,
if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. But if it does work, then you have your quarterback of the quote unquote next couple years or whatever, like the future, like in a win now mentality. So
Cam Newton is a leader.
That's my
People
thought.
love playing with Cam Newton. So you know,
he's a
respected veteran. It's not like
definitely.
signing a random guy off the street. Like this is 14
Which Bill
million.
Belichick has been known to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Chris Hogan.
God, Chris Hogan. Isn't he in Miami now?
I know.
He's playing in a lacrosse league right now.
Yeah.
Professional lacrosse league. I mean, that's where they found him, playing lacrosse.
Yeah. No, I mean Cam. I think will definitely be better, have a more consistent impact, and I mean, we will really see what they do with that money because I think there's still like 40 million left.
Yeah, they have
at
a ton.
least. Yeah. It's a lot. They have the third most in the NFL behind Miami and New York.
Probably.
Jacksonville, New York. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we will definitely see with that. But moving on, we planned this for last week. But we're bringing it back right now. The NBA All-Star break just occurred. We just had our full break of games, 3 days of absolute mess,
basketball.
Without basketball. It was pretty sad. But we are now approaching the second half of the NBA season as we climb towards the NBA playoffs. So figure just go around the table. 2 NBA predictions for the second half for everybody. So, yeah.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go last.
Okay.
Can I give one of mine first?
Okay, go ahead.
I'm not talking about the playoffs here. I'm just talking about general, like regular season standings. I think the Suns win the West. I think the Suns are the 1 seed in the West. I think they started out struggling a little bit. It was bad, but now they're the 2 seed. I think they beat the Lakers, like the full Lakers, not like the fraud Lakers we've seen now. But they beat like the real deal Lakers. I think they beat the Jazz. They beat the Clippers. They beat every single team in the Western Conference. Chris Paul's getting hot. I mean, he's an all-star. Devin Booker's an all-star. DeAndre Ayton's getting better as the season goes on. I mean, I think this team's on fire. I don't think there's any stopping them. I think they're better than the Jazz. I think the Jazz are the biggest fraud in the NBA, but I hate that team with a passion. So.
Well, I mean, yeah, we do a Sixers.
Yeah, I see your point with Phoenix. I completely see your point. I think Chris Paul has been probably the most underrated player in the NBA so far this season.
Well, clearly not.
The impact he's made on that Phoenix team. Clearly not, but I think the backlash that occurred for picking him over Booker showed exactly.
Well, yeah, I still think
how underrated that was. I don't. I mean, you remember I did it in my actual All-Star teams. I truly believe that he's the best player on that team. Yep.
I truly believe you're insane.
But that Phoenix squad continuing to develop. They're 17-2 in their last 19 games. Like that is absolutely absurd. And the Lakers gearing towards the playoffs are going to ramp up. The Clippers gearing towards the playoffs are going to ramp up. So that's the only thing that worries me. But with how easy of a schedule Phoenix has moving forward, I'm pretty sure it's like 26th in the NBA. I am convinced that they will finish probably as top 3 in the Western Conference.
And another thing I was thinking about is like nobody in the NBA, more in my opinion, wants a ring more than Chris Paul. Yeah. I don't think anybody in the NBA right now, unless I'm tripping, deserves a ring more than Chris Paul.
Yeah, other than like Derrick Rose.
Yeah.
He's not winning on the Knicks. I'm sorry.
Never know. Maybe that'll be my next prediction. That's
Oh,
Knicks will win the finals.
You never know.
You never know with me.
Um,
Play the fairly at 4.
no, I mean I think he definitely deserves it. I'm scared for that team in a playoff series with DeAndre Ayton and the Jay Crowder Dario Saric combination. I don't know how it works moving forward, especially in series against guys like Anthony Davis and
Well,
Rudy Gobert, who are able to have the impact that they do.
It's been working. It's been working all season.
It has.
Working 17 of the past 19. It's been working against the Lakers. It worked against. I'm literally looking at their schedule. It's worked against every major playoff team in the NBA, including the Lakers.
It has, but again, it's the regular season. When it comes down to pressure in the playoff time, that is my only concern. But
yeah, well, I'm also not concerned because if you want to talk about pressure in the bubble, look at Devin Booker last year. It's insane. He literally looked like Kobe in the bubble.
That's fair.
They literally went 8-0.
That's fair. So did Jamal Murray, but that's fair.
The Nuggets went 8-0 in the bubble. I thought the Suns were the only team to go undefeated in the bubble.
I said look like Kobe in the bubble.
Oh, well, everybody, a lot of people. T.J. Warren looked like Kobe in the bubble.
T.J. Warren,
like Devin Booker literally was like insane.
Yep. So should I go into my first one?
Yeah.
All right. So I guess this isn't really too much of a hot take. But I think Damian Lillard will finish top 3 in the MVP race. As the season finishes off. Just the scoring presence that he's provided without CJ McCollum and how he's just kind of dragged that team through maybe the hardest part of their schedule pretty much on their own, pretty much on his own. And what he's done in pick and roll situations, I mean, he's probably the best guard with the ball in his hands over Steph, just with how much Steph plays off ball in the league. And so, if that Blazers team continues to perform the way they have and finish as a top 5 seed, I would put him over LeBron right now, honestly, just with how close they are in the standings and the numbers that he's able to put up right now. But I
also think when you're thinking about LeBron and the MVP race is that the Lakers haven't been able to get it done without him. So
yep.
Well, I mean, without Anthony Davis, obviously. Sorry.
Yep, and I think that partially, is due to a lack of effort coming off, what happens in that NBA Finals and just fatigue from the limited break that the NBA gave them, which I still believe is unfair and just for marketing.
Well, yeah, but I also think you can't. Still, a lack of effort's unacceptable, especially right now. Like last year, near this time, it was okay because they were first in the East by a marginal, first in the West by a marginable amount of games. But now you're slipping. Now you're 4 games behind the Jazz and 3 games behind.
But Phoenix. We know when playoff time comes that LeBron James and Anthony Davis and the defending champions will be ready. They're still going to be the favorites going into that playoffs and prepared. They could, take those 20 games and just ramp up, I honestly believe, and still be, the consistent playoff performers that they were last year in the bubble.
Maybe. I'm not sold for some reason.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah. Ethan, you got a hot take for us?
Okay, this one hurts to say, to be honest. But, I still say they'll stay where they are as far as the Eastern Conference standings, but the Boston Celtics are kind of like, they kind of remind me of last year's Heat team, just because they won't be the highest seed. And they're getting Marcus Smart back. And their schedule is mostly easy outside of Brooklyn, us, the Lakers, and I think they're playing the Jazz their next game.
All the good teams.
Yeah. They're just going to get all the good teams out of the way, but then they're playing like the Magic and the Cavs and I mean, the Hornets is a closest game than like just like the middling teams of the East. But yeah, I think Marcus Smart coming back adds so much chemistry and so much like heart to the team. As much as I despise him, and Jason Tatum's going to heat up. Jaylen Brown's been playing like an All-NBA player all season. Kemba's got a little bit better. They could make some deadline moves like an Andre Drummond if they want.
Yeah, but what did they give up? They don't have picks.
Yeah, his value was basically nothing.
Naismith.
They're asking for like the Cavs are basically just want to get him off the team, which is weird. And like they might as well take advantage of that because I mean, I'm not a huge proponent of Daniel Ticer or Tristan Thompson.
Yeah.
I mean, Time Lord's cool. Shout out.
I know.
Williams,
I know, but if you're still thinking about it, the Caps aren't just going to give him away. They're still going to want something back. And I mean, out of the
give like some role players, but
out of the Fab Four, if I'm Cleveland, out of the Fab Four, I want one of them. Like I want one of them.
I think he's expiring. I think
he's
they
gone.
just want to
get
out
gone.
Much value they can.
They're moving forward with Jared Allen as their future for sure in Cleveland.
I don't think it happens for. Well, I think he's going to go to more of a rebuilding team. I think there's going to be it's going to be a big FU to him. Be like, all right, we don't like you. Go to Detroit. We don't like you. Go back to Detroit.
The Lakers. I think the Lakers are a huge contending option for Andre Drummond. I think
I don't think that makes
with
sense.
The
they have
lack of a.
No, they have Montrezl Harrell, and I don't even. It's Marcus Gasol.
You can play Montrezl Harrell at the 4, and that especially.
But you have Anthony Davis at the 4.
Run with their bench unit. Just run with their bench unit. Yeah.
I don't like putting good players on the bench. That's why I never got why Lou Williams played on the bench. But oh well.
Well, because he's six-man with Will.
Yeah.
I guess.
When you have a Drake written about how you're a six-man, you have to be now.
I also never understood why Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams were both six-man of the year candidates. I never understood you can have multiple six-men. Only one six-man on the team.
They were both putting up. I mean, Montrez was fantastic last year, and Lou Will. I mean, before completely collapsing in the playoffs, was great too. So
the Clippers in general just
terrible.
Yeah, and I mean, haven't been fantastic so far. I think Paul George has been better, but their bench hasn't been. But we'll see. Mike, you got a second one for us?
I do. I think that the Charlotte Hornets finish a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference. They're right now, as of now, half a game back of the 4 seed behind Miami and the Celtics that are tied for him. The Hornets have a relatively easy schedule coming up, except for I think they play the Lakers and the Suns, and outside of that, I don't see many games that they're actually going to lose. They can keep it close with Boston, and they have one game against Milwaukee and then game against the Clippers. But outside of that, this looks like easy sledding. I think I've said it multiple times. Michael Jordan deserves some credit for putting together the team that he did, because I know he has some type of control over it. When you put together a team, you draft LaMelo Ball, someone who everybody knew it was either this is going to go great or this is going to be terrible. And it went great. And Terry Rozier at shooting guard. And, it took him a couple years, but he's finally starting to shape out the way they wanted him to shape out. And when you think about players like Gordon Hayward, people said, he's washed. And look at him. He's slaying right now. And then PJ Washington, he's always just been this year and last year, he's been a solid player. And I don't know who plays center for them, if I'm being honest. I think maybe Bismack Diop, but I have no clue. But I mean, I like Devontae Graham coming off the bench. I love that. Miles Bridges coming off the bench. Malik Monk starting to look like what they thought he was coming out of college. I mean, I don't know. This team's getting hot. Mm-hmm. They have momentum, and I really think that in the locker room, MJ's in the locker room at least once a week, like screaming at them, like just like I don't know. I think MJ's noticing this is the best chance he's had in a long time to win a game, like be a successful GM or whatever he is. So yeah, that's just my opinion.
For me, I completely agree with how great of a story the success of the Charlotte Hornets has been. looking at this roster in the offseason and, what were basically just, a bunch of throwaway pieces that have turned into, developed and turned into this great team together. It's a fantastic story. That being said, I have to believe in the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics and the Toronto Raptors and maybe even the Indiana Pacers with the experienced rosters that these teams have and the coaching going into these playoff runs. And we forget that there is a play-in tournament at the end between the 7 seed and the 10 seed. So if it is close enough and, I'm coming down to it and I have, let's say, Toronto, Miami, Charlotte, and Indiana, I would take all 3 of those other teams over the Hornets just because of the playoff experience that they do have. I don't think there's a player on Charlotte's roster outside of Gordon Hayward who barely played last year.
Bismack Biyombo has won a ring. I mean,
Bismack
was it the first or second
20 minutes a game?
Good Sixers year that Terry Rozier tore us up in the second round?
That was the Cavs Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
It was the year where I said.
Was that the year before he signed with Charlotte?
I think he played 2 years before he signed with Charlotte. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess you have that. I mean, he literally had a nickname. He was the Scary Terry before Terry McLaurin. But, but Adam, I see your argument that wasn't my take. My take was that they would be top 4.
Yeah.
Not seventh. They're not going to be low enough to be in the play-in tournament. And the play-in tournament won't affect them, I don't think.
Again, down the stretch, I still have to believe in those experienced teams.
Yeah, but I also have to believe in the experienced man that's running the team named Michael Jordan.
I can't believe in the experienced man named Michael Jordan after the success he's had over the past 10 years. I mean, I totally give credit to him, for after being lambasted for, the Gordon Hayward thing, and the Zier thing, and all that. But
and now do you think
the amount of success they've had over the past 10 years, the way he botched that Kemba thing, if he doesn't tear his knee, that is pretty much their only chance at a superstar, until LaMelo over the past, 3 years.
Yeah, but then you go look at it, but the moves that they made offseason and stuff never looked like bad moves. Like signing Terry Rozier until this year, at the time, it was like, oh, well, he emerged as one of the premier players in the NBA. None of these things looked like bad moves. It's not like he's doing stupid things like, oh, you know what, let's sign Bismack Biyombo to a 3-year, $87 million. Then I would say, maybe it's a little bit of Michael Jordan's fault. But Michael Jordan hasn't been making bad moves.
No, I agree.
I think he's just been trying to carry the Hornets through a rebuild, and it just took excessively long.
And I agree that it's hard because no one wants to come to Charlotte.
But now people are going to want to come to Charlotte. Now you have a good team. You have Michael Jordan. I don't know. I feel like Michael Jordan, he finally has the chance to be successful as an executive. I don't think he's gonna let any 20-year-old bums gonna let it slide.
We will say. My second hot take kind of reverses on yours.
Oh, great.
Yeah. I believe the Miami Heat will finish as a top 4 seed.
All right, sure to say.
Jimmy Butler has been actually very underrated over the past 10 games with the impact that he's made, helping carry that Miami Heat team to winning 8 of their last 9. Just the cohesiveness of this team going down the stretch is something that's so important. I mean, Dragic is still contributing at 34 years old. You still have these young guys who, although they're not getting the same headlines, that they did during that NBA Finals run are still making the same consistent impact and taking the same steps. Talk about Tyler Hero, talk about Duncan Robinson, talk about Kendrick Nunn. I still believe that team will finish as a top 4 seed and is terrifying to any other team in the East. And I mean, Bam Adebayo, if anything, has been better this season. Continuing his upward streak. I think he's averaging 20, 10, and 8 right now. Just been fantastic. And so I definitely believe in that team going into the playoffs. If I'm the Sixers, I mean, just speaking from a fan's perspective, I'm absolutely terrified with the matchups that they bring against us. So yeah,
we can have a lot of movement in the West, and there's a lot of teams that aggravate me, like the Warriors. Like the Warriors are the most frustrating team in the league. But maybe Memphis could heat up because Jaren Jackson hasn't played a second of basketball this season, and I mean they've been a little disappointing considering like people expected Ja Morant to be like a bona fide All-Star. Obviously, he missed some time, and Jonas Valanciunas missed some time, and most of the core is just like But I think Jaren Jackson adds a lot to that team, and they could end up as I think they could take over like maybe like the 7 or 6 seed, considering how San Antonio is like going to be a selling team at the deadline, apparently, like with parting ways, quote unquote, with LaMarcus Aldridge, and they'll probably just
future 76ers.
they'll probably just get the future because I think San Antonio, as much as I like some of their players like Keldon Johnson and DeJounte Murray, I think they kind of need to do a hard reset because
I agree.
Their team is old. I really like DeMar DeRozan too. He did play like an all-star. But at the same time, I think they definitely need to add some youth, and I think getting rid of LaMarcus Aldridge is a good start for that. And the Grizzlies, with everybody coming back healthy, I think would definitely make them a nice contender at the bottom end. They're not a contender in the West, but they would be a nice 6 to 8 seed. And the Mavericks too. I don't know why they're selling. I don't know why they want to trade Kristaps, but good for them.
Well, I mean, the injury history, and he hasn't been fantastic this season. I don't know how he fits next to Luka. That's my biggest.
Yeah, I think he was good. He was good the year before Luka got there.
Just hope it works.
Yeah.
But, and the last thing, this has nothing. This is no hot take, but the Warriors do not deserve James Wiseman at all. By the way. Yeah. Playing him only in the fourth quarter for him to have like 14 and 10 after getting like completely destroyed.
So, yeah, they benched him.
It was like just
refused to play.
Reasons, but if he was getting starting minutes or getting at least like significant bench minutes, he would be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. Steve Kerr is just like sabotaging what could have been a great rookie campaign, if I'm being honest. As much as I like Steve Kerr as a coach and a guy, like he's probably one of the most like likable coaches in the league. But yeah, I think there's so much potential and so much talent there with James Wiseman, and just can't let that go just because.
Well, you guys like Kevon Looney. Yeah,
I know. In my opinion, if I'm Golden State, I need to get rid of Draymond Green. We have James Wiseman. James Wiseman is looking like one of the best players.
A great mentor for him, though. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, Draymond's not good.
Draymond has been great defensively this season.
I know,
much better than last season as far as his
I know, but now you have James Wiseman. Now you need to progress the rookie you just got. You need to progress like this player who people thought was undoubtedly the first pick in the draft before Edwards went off.
Yeah, right? But Draymond can still come off the bench and be a Swiss Army knife. I believe he's essential to.
Yeah, but then you're paying so much money to a bench player.
But who's going to
doesn't even deserve the money he's making?
Who's going to take that contract?
A team that's just desperate in a win now situation.
Does Draymond do that for you though? I mean, maybe like
I'm just saying, like they need to get rid of him. They need to do what do you call it? Just did the Nets just did. Just buy out his contract, get him out. He's just not good. He's not contributing anything.
He's contributing so much defensively, bro. You have no idea. He's top 25 in VORP right now as far as defense.
Yeah, shout out advanced stats. But I just I just pulled it up, but James Wiseman is averaging 20 minutes a game, which should easily be like 25 to like maybe even 30.
Yep.
He's averaging like 12. He's averaging 12 points, 6 rebounds, a block, an assist, and about half a steal. Shooting like wait, where's the free throw? But he's shooting 50% from the field, almost 40% from three. Free throws could definitely be better. He's having like that Ben Simmons percentage.
50, 40, 60.
It's very frustrating to see Steph Curry play like an MVP and James Wiseman and Spurs to play with Rookie of the Year and then just them to be so unbelievably mediocre. Yeah,
I don't know, bro. This team's fun. That team is really fun. I will say that. I think just the way they have allowed Steph to just kind of open up and create his own shots off ball. With guys like Wiggins who have, I mean, they haven't been great, but they've performed their roles in some way. I think that team has been a success overall, but I do agree Wiseman definitely
Curry
should.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Curry started to get a little mad. I've noticed.
A little mad?
I don't know. Have you seen the video? There's a video of him after the game last night that they lost. He's like screaming at his teammates. He's like screaming at them. He's like just freaking out on them. I'm not going to be one of the Lakers fans that photoshops in a Lakers jersey anymore. I'm just saying, like, that's a bit concerned. If I'm a Warriors fan, I'm a little concerned. But I'm not concerned to the point where I think that something's gonna happen. I'm just like, he's not very happy right now.
You just gotta appease your franchise player. It's like
I
not
think
that hard.
Still got a chance at a lottery pick. I think there's still a trade that can be done, whether it involves picks and maybe you throw Looney in there and maybe you get that Draymond contract that's going to be expiring off the books.
Kelly Oubre.
Look at maybe Kelly Oubre, exactly, and look at maybe like a Vucevic and run Wiseman at the 4. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I feel like there is a move that's out there. Bradley Beal, I know it would take more. It would take multiple firsts.
It would take like options.
Blah, 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 blah. But there is a move that is out there for that Golden State Warriors team in the future, and you can sense it. That is one of the best managed general managers in the league. I'm totally blanking on his name now, and I feel really bad. No.
But,
All right.
Should we move into our mini first take?
First take? Mini first take, let's get it.
All right. Today's question. Where will Juju Smith-Schuster land? There's been a picture that was recently put out where I think Sports Illustrated put out a poll saying, is Juju going to come back to Pittsburgh? And it was either yes or no. And Juju himself voted no. So it's sort of self-proclaimed. It's sort of assumed around the NFL that he's gone. He's going to sign somewhere else. So we're going to argue about where he's going to go and where he should go and what team should pursue him. Who wants to go first? I want to go last. So I know
Can I go first?
Sure.
Yes. My official mini first take Juju Smith-Schuster destination is the New York Jets. The cap room that they are able to have that works perfectly around his contract. The prospects of playing with future New York Jet Zach Wilson, because we all know what's happening.
Yeah.
The culture that Robert Saleh, I feel like, is going to bring to New York. I really feel like that was the grand slam hire of the NFL offseason.
Yeah.
All of the pieces match up. And I do feel like Juju Smith-Schuster will be a New York Jet just because of that, and probably make a decent impact and improve on that team. I mean, we look at the weapons they have right now.
James Carter's fine.
Yeah, it's Denzel Mims, and not much else. Rashad Perriman, for Eagles legend Rashad Perriman. But yeah, I I feel like they can definitely improve on that. I feel like defensively they are going to get better through the draft. I don't know what's going to happen with Marcus May and the mess that's going on right there, whether he's going to ask for a trade or blah, 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 blah. But that is definitely a team that I'm looking to improve. I feel like Juju is going to want to go to, this youth movement with Zach Wilson. And we'll see. We'll see. But I wouldn't rule out Pittsburgh before I stop talking. I would not rule out Pittsburgh. I feel like he does love it there. That wide receiver room is nice. So I think if the Steelers want him back, that's where he would be. But yeah, I'll stop talking.
Okay, yeah. We referenced both the teams that I was thinking of when we were doing that mini Juju discussion earlier. So I kind of feel like it's kind of like a wasted opportunity, but I guess I'll say both. Washington football team sounds good because they need a secondary receiving option other than Terry McLaurin. Because as much as I love Terry McLaurin, even though he's on a rival team,
he can't do it all.
I don't think you can rely on Steven Sims or I literally can't name another receiver on the team.
Cam Sims.
There's another Sims.
Trey Quinn.
Trey Quinn. He got that one touchdown on Thanksgiving, and then he just never came back.
Although I have to be honest, Logan Thomas, the tight end, sort of emerged at the end of the season. So I think that was good for them.
But yeah,
should have been Pro Bowler.
Yeah, over Evan Ingram.
No. Yep. Robert Tonyan.
Yeah, that too. Him too.
Yeah. But my other team is also in the AFC East, and we talked about how they need weapons. So I'll say the New England Patriots because they have so much cap room, similar to the Jets. And it seems like either the best or worst case scenario for him to be catching passes from Cam Newton. They might have great chemistry, or it might be like a situation in Pittsburgh all over again.
But, they can just dance together.
Yeah, they can dance together. But I think both those teams are really good fits, and I'll hope to God he doesn't come to I'll hope he doesn't go to the football team, but it's definitely like a perfect fit.
Okay, is it my turn?
Yeah,
it is your turn.
All right, so the team I am picking Juju to go to will 100% not happen. But if I am the GM of this team, I'm pursuing him because I have watched the Kansas City Chiefs. Whatever is happening in Kansas City right now is not good. I don't know what Andy Reid's trying to do by releasing his whole starting offensive line. That's just getting significantly worse as the minutes go by. That defense is terrible, as we saw. It literally got torched by that Tampa Bay offense and other offenses in the playoffs somewhat. This team has recently released its number 2 receiver. This team's the Buffalo Bills. I know you have Stephon Diggs. I know you have needs on the O-line, but you need to take advantage.
Yeah, they're going to say KC.
It's like scared.
Oh, no, not Kansas City. Definitely not Kansas City. I think Buffalo needs to pursue him. I think when you're looking at other teams in the AFC who are getting worse, Kansas City, it really feels weird to say, but they're getting worse. You know they're getting worse. Their defense has gotten worse, and their offensive line, they clearly are suffering without. I don't remember his name, but he quit to be a COVID doctor. Landry,
Laurent Tardif.
Yeah, him, and then Mitchell Schwartz and not Mike Rivers, but
Eric Fisher.
Eric Fisher are both gone. Their center, I don't remember his center. He's gone. They released him earlier today. I think now, if I'm Buffalo, I need to prioritize getting a couple better defensive linemen. I think I'm definitely emphasizing D-line in the draft now. And I think I need to bring in Juju because I don't think that who's their number 1 corner? Kansas City's number 1 corner. Tre'Davious Ward. Rashad Breeland, I think he left.
Right, he did.
They cut him, which is just.
I was thinking safety. I can only think of what's his name?
Juan Thornhill.
Juan Thornhill, Tyrann Mathieu, and there's a rookie. Jesus.
Well, Jerry Sneed.
Justin Blackman.
Yeah, Jerry Sneed.
Jerry Sneed. Yeah.
But if I'm looking at that second, it's not good. They barely hung with Diggs. Now imagine you put Juju on the other side. Now you have to put. Now you're like whatever. It's one or the other. Are we going to guard Diggs and let Juju have a game, or are we going to let Diggs? Are we going to cover Juju and let Diggs run all over the field? I really think that Buffalo tries to pursue Juju and some defensive line that they're going to get after Mahomes, and that's how they're going to get to the Super Bowl next year. I think it'll be a repeat of the AFC Championship. I think it'll be either Bills Chiefs or Bills Browns. I think that's what I think needs to happen for Buffalo to be successful. I think they need to pursue Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, I'm not
or
sure.
Just any of the top receivers in the free agency class.
Yeah, they probably have enough money, but yeah, they signed Darrell Williams, so they don't need to worry about offensive line.
But they do need a ton on that defensive line and at the tight end position. So that's the only thing that would. But
yeah, they definitely saved a lot of money
end.
From re-signing Matt Milano. He's only making like $7.5 million a year. I thought he was going to get like a bag, but yeah, now they're. Yeah, it seems like Jeez, what's like a ridiculous team front? Like, this is totally out of left field, no pun intended. But Ronald Acuna Jr., one of the best players in the MLB, is making like $10 million a year over the next 10 years.
Guys. Is anybody watching the Sixers right now?
No. Are they collapsing?
No, Embiid's on the ground holding his leg. He broke his ankle. He broke his leg.
That's.
Are we gonna leave this in?
No, they're winning the game, but Joel isn't. He's crying on the ground.
Oh God! Hold up, I'm turning on my TV.
He dunked it and he landed weirdly. You know when you land on your foot bends backwards.
Yeah.
He's
limping off the court. He's limping off the court.
Oh, he is.
Oh,
okay,
yeah,
I'm watching on the NBA. I'm watching on NBC Sports Philly, like the app on my smart TV, so it's behind. So he's still crying at the ground for me.
Yep, he just.
Oh my God.
There's no reason you should play this game. Jesus.
Was he walking on his own, Adam?
He was walking. I mean, he had the trainer had his arm on his back, but he was walking on his own. Yeah. But he did have a limp. Ah, Jesus.
That's like the most depressing way to end the episode.
That's it. We will be back next. We will be back next week.
And fire the Philly medical staff and hire Roseman.